Hello, and welcome to today's InfiniteINFJ Storytime, where I try to make really spooky, creepy things sound normal. Last time I told you about a negative entity that I tried to overcome with love, and I tried to keep that pretty low-key because I think that all of this stuff, this otherworldly, like, ghost stuff is just sensationalized and people get more and more afraid. And, yeah, I know it's easy to, like, get scared. So, today I want to talk about being born in a cult. So, I was born in a cult, which is probably why I was possessed by the devil. Just kidding. So I was born in a cult, and I am very comfortable with that fact. I am pretty open with it. I mean, I don't tell, like, prospective employees or something, employers or employees. But if I've known you long enough, it's just, I don't know, it's not that weird to me. And here's why. And the reason it's not that weird is because it's literally not that weird. So, obviously, like, the common understanding of cults are, like, blood sacrifices and rituals, or, like, suicide cults, that type of stuff. So, this was nothing like that. However, it was a cult. So, and it was the most common type of cult. So it was not Scientology, thankfully. Ooh, wouldn't have gotten out of that one alive. Just kidding. No offense, Scientologists. Please don't follow me. No, so it was, there are a few characteristics that truly define a cult. Obviously, it's like some sort of religion, right? It's like based on some sort of religious ideology. But then, to really make it a cult and not just a cool, fun, wacky religion, is that it usually will start isolating you from the outside world and more seriously from the people that you know, so your family and friends who are not in the cult. And it can be very subtle. So, like, when my parents joined, they were very, well, they weren't young, but they were, like, at teens, and so they just started going to this church. So it was just a church, it seemed like. Nothing weird, no one was wearing, like, cloaks, just, like, Sunday morning service, you know. They've been Christian or Catholic their whole lives. It was not that weird to them. And it wasn't that weird to their parents either, at first. And so, these types of things will lure you in. And the further in you get, the weirder it will get, the more controlling they become over your life, until they are taking your kids from you and putting them in another church member's house and making them that, like, they would eventually just really take total control of the family and be like, your kids are gonna go live with so-and-so and be their kids now. Or, like, if you wanted to marry someone, that you may or may not get to marry them, depending on what, like, the church fathers said. So it was just very controlling. They were obsessed with demons and demonology. There wasn't, like, like, sex rituals or, like, blood magic or anything like that, but it was bad enough as it was. So, I was born in it, and luckily my parents left when I was still a little baby, so I only know what they've told me, but not just them. I've done my research and looked at the organization, what I could find online. I've also talked to many other former members of the cult, as well as present-day members of the cult, and heard all of their stories as well. So what I gather is that different people had very different experiences with some underlying fundamental shared experiences, which was that they were all isolated from their families if the families were not part of the church, and then they all had to get rid of all of their possessions once they joined the church. And then you would have to change your last name eventually. Like I said, like the more you got involved in this normal looking church, the more you got involved, the weirder it got. So the more you got involved, like then you'd have to like the pastor or something would approach you and be like, you know, we see something in you. We think that, you know, you're like blessed by God or whatever. Like you have these skills and abilities, and like we think that I don't know. I think they used like flattery and stuff to get people to like go along with their little like weird controlling games and stuff. So then they would be like, you should live with so and so. I honestly don't know, but they got people to change their last names, their names. They got people to legally change their names in this church. So, for example, when I was born, my last name was the same as my mom's spiritual father, which is what they called them. So it was really weird. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was totally weird and like messed up, obviously, but it wasn't like, you know, I don't know, I feel like when I tell people, I get like different reactions. Like some people are like, oh, that's weird, or whatever. People have a lot of questions, but then every now and then I'll get a person who just, I can tell they think it's like Hollywood style or something. Or, I mean, there are real cults out there like Jim Jones or whatever, where you drink the Kool-Aid, and then a lot of like child abuse and stuff. Luckily, none of that happened in our church as like part of, I'm sure people were abused as part of life, but there were no like church teachings that like supported or promoted like, you know, children brides or something, whatever like common idea of cult life is. So yeah, anyways, I don't remember it. I was out by the time I was 9 months. 9 months old, and so I don't really, I don't know, I know of people who are still in it currently, that are part of my family, but like extended family, but the main like leader of the cult passed away like 10 years ago maybe, so I hear that it's changed a lot. Sorry about the train. So yeah, this was really rambly in an INFJ way, so I'm sorry, but don't assume that, don't make assumptions about people. I'm normal-ish. And don't be scared, you know? Yeah. Just don't be afraid. And if a church starts to seem weird to you, you're probably right, so run. And I feel like I should say this isn't to diminish or invalidate or negate anyone who has had like a truly horrific experience in a different kind of cult, or even the same cult. I'm just telling you what I know from my limited experience with a cult. And yeah, so I know that there are really sick, weird, twisted ones that are like into way worse stuff out there, and luckily, from what I hear, ours was just more like a super controlling family dynamic. I don't know. It's still gross. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like promoting it in any way. It was bad. But yeah, no child brides, no sex magic, no blood sacrifices. Just your average, everyday, totalitarian, self-appointed. What would they even be called? There was a prophetess. She might still be alive. I wonder if she's watching this. What up, G? Alright, guys. This is a really weird video. I don't even know if I said anything coherent, so sorry about that, and have a nice day. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, I'm really, 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 really sorry. But feel free to leave me some hate down below. Alright. Or some love.